There to our main sponsors, to Lime Property Management Services, Mr. Clint Ridden and his team. A big thank you to Castrol. They sponsor Turn 2, they sponsor the tower, they sponsor the spinning pitch. A big thanks to Castrol. Then to King Tony Tools for the subway, Pertamina Fostron for turn number 5, the City of Cape Town, and the official media partner of the Western Province Motor Club, Smile 90.4 FM. A big thanks to all of those. All our class sponsors. Formula Libres is sponsored by Bejo Trustees as they work their way out onto the circuit. Now, it looks like that we've got basically a field of Formula Vs out there, and I personally like these Formula Vs because if you've ever watched the national Formula V racing that came down to Cape Town a couple of months ago, it was in August when we had the Northern Regions race meeting here, they put in about 15 to 20, if not more, of those Formula Vs. And a lot of our Formula V drivers went out there and raced there with them. So we've got Donovan Ramsey, we'll have Kelly Fletcher, Josh Smith, Ricky Anderson, Cyril Somerville, Wynand de Ridder, Ben Jack Phillips, and James Beaumont. And then we're supposed to have the Class S car of Jason Kutsia. That'll be the car 77. So we'll look-see as this one pans out. The officials are busy waiting for them here on the grid as we wait for the Libres to make their way through to the grid.
Well, good morning, Frankie. Good to be commentating with you.
Yes, Jordan.
This time around.
Good day. Yeah, we were Mike's side last week with the rallycross, and geez, was there tons of dust there. You could hardly see the cars at the northern end of the track, but I'm sure they will attend to that. And yeah, then we will be Mike's side as well on the 7th of December for a big one at the Cape L Drivers. The last round for the first half of the season. And that will be a national qualifier for 1660s and stock rods. And there'll be dirt oval karts racing there as well. And the Keltron Formula Supercars. Tiny got the letterhead from the CHD committee to hand to the chairman of Supercars, Mr. Craig Hume. So, Jordan, here we go as the Bejo Trustees Formula Libres line up for the opening race of the day.
You were speaking of Jason Kutsia, why we can't see him out there, but yesterday I was here at practice and he had some sort of issue and they towed that Formula, or that S-Class Formula Libre, that Forza Formula V out of the pits. So there was some sort of issue, and I think it's terminal because he definitely didn't make it out into race 1 this morning. But there we see Kelly Fletcher's made her way out. No Byron Mitchell this time. Usually we see him in the Dolphin Engineering Formula V. Ricky Anderson finally out once again. Good to see him back. He hasn't been here in a little while. Wynand de Ridder had a problem yesterday as well in practice, but he's made his way out. James Beaumont's there. The young Joshua Smith sitting there in 3rd position. And then, of course, we've got Donovan Ramsey in pole. We'll wait until the lights go out and see them down to Holshoek.
Yeah, you see them line up. It's a full field of Formula V cars. And as I said, I like these Formula Vs. Right, 5 lights are on, 5 lights are off. And away they go as they work their way off the line. And a lovely start off the line there by Donovan Ramsey. He will lead into turn number 1. We'll have a look and see. That might not even be Ramsey that's leading in turn 1. It could even be Kelly Fletcher. We'll have a look and see. I think it is Kelly Fletcher. Yes, it is Kelly Fletcher. Joshua Smith there in P3 as they work their way into Castrol Corner. And he's going to challenge and go up to 2nd.
It looks like the Liquid Molly car of Donovan Ramsey's dropped down to the back end of the grid. So something has happened there. But looking out to the front, Kelly Fletcher still leading out ahead of Joshua Smith, who's made up a position on Ricky Anderson. Ricky Anderson currently sitting in 3rd position. Good to see him up there at the front. Then we've got the likes of Ben Jack Phillips, Wynand de Ridder, Cyril Somerville, and James Beaumont that are fighting there in that little group in the middle. And then obviously at the back end of the grid, now fighting his way through, is Donovan Ramsey.
Well, we'll pick them up as they work their way down the back straight, the Kalani straight, racing down towards turn number 5 to Pertamina Fostron. And the front two are beginning to break away. We've got a challenge up front for the lead. Are we going to have a new leader? Will Josh Smith take the lead? He does. Joshua Smith gets his nose up front. The head there of Kelly Fletcher through Pertamina Fostron. Fletcher sitting in second. It is Ricky Anderson that's there in that third position. Now he's got his tail up as Joshua Smith as he races down towards turn number 1. But Fletcher is right on the gearbox of that Formula V as they exit holes.
These two are going to fight it out, hammer and tong, as they make their way down the Joubert Straight now. But look at that youngster, Joshua Smith, now is slightly reeling ahead of Kelly Fletcher in that Dolphin Engineering number 22 car as they make their way into Castrol. Third and fourth position, Ricky Anderson rather has Ben-Jack Phillips on his case, and keeping him very honest as Ben-Jack Phillips tries to go around the outside but gets covered off there by Ricky Anderson leaving Castrol corner. And then we've got James Beaumont sitting there in 5th place, Werner de Ridder in 6th. Donovan Ramsey's moved up ahead of Cyril Somerville in 7th and 8th respectively as they make their way down to Damstip.
Well, we'll have a look at this one. This is still that fight there between Anderson and Phillips. They are nose to tail. They'd be 3 and 4 with James Beaumont and Wynand de Ridder right there. But the leaders are side by side. Well, not quite side by side as they work their way down into turn number 5 into Pertamina Fostron. Well, keep an eye on them because that one is still pretty close, although it's still Josh Smith that's got his nose up front. There you see Kelly Fletcher. Now Josh wants to clear out here. He wants to get a good gap between himself and Kelly Fletcher as the two of them cross the line. And there is 1.487, but here comes 3, 4, and 5 into turn number 1.
Yep, Ben-Jack Phillips managed to get past Ricky Anderson, which moves him down to 4th position. James Beaumont now is on the case of Ricky Anderson as they make their way into Holes Hook once again. Werner de Ridder a little bit further back. He's on his own at the moment as he exits Holes Hook. And then obviously we've got Donovan Ramsey and Cyril Somerville at the end of the grid. But here's this battle for 3rd. It's a 3-way fight at the current moment as Joshua Smith leads out ahead of Kelly Fletcher. But there it is, Ben-Jack Phillips ahead of Ricky Anderson. Right on Ricky Anderson's gearbox is James Beaumont.
Yeah, that's the one we're going to stay. We just saw Fletcher flash through your screen there. Through the lunch stem kink they go. And into Damstip. And that is Ben-Jack Phillips, Ricky Anderson, and James Beaumont. We just see them come up what will become the Golden Highway as this race meeting draws to an end. And that is the closest fight on track as the leaders are making their way into Pertamina Fostron.
I know from last round, Kelly Fletcher got into a bit of contact with the C-Class car of, I always forget, it was the yellow Class C car. One of them from last round, apologize for not remembering, but she got into contact with him into Holes Hook, and she got a little bit of suspension damage last round, and I'm not sure the car is back up to 100% because we definitely used to seeing her at the front end of the grid. But this youngster Josh Smith is now peeled out and ducked away as he now sits in 1st and going through Holes Hook. But here comes this battle for 3rd position, Frankie.
Yeah, that is Ben-Jack Phillips, Ricky Anderson, and James Beaumont. Beaumont looking up on the inside of Anderson, but Ricky covers that line. There's the two leaders, P1 and 2. Heading into Castrol, that is Smith and Fletcher. And here comes this fight for 3, 4, and 5 towards Castrol corner. Ben-Jack Phillips, Ricky Anderson, and right on his heels, James Beaumont. Wynand de Ridder is coming through. He's 8.1 seconds behind Beaumont in P6. Is Wynand de Ridder in car 10.
Yep, and then 11 seconds behind de Ridder was our pole sitter, Donovan Ramsey, who's dropped back. But there's our leader. There is Joshua Smith making his way out and down the Kalani straight now. Joshua Smith currently with a 1:25.368 as the fastest lap of this race. 7 laps to go as we watch them come into Pertamina Fostron once again. The gap now between himself and Kelly Fletcher is 2.8 seconds coming to the final corner.
Well, Ricky Anderson is slowing down. Ricky Anderson, there you see him slow right down. So the fight is on now between Ben-Jack Phillips and James Beaumont. That's the two cars that you see on your screen, and Beaumont's going to go through. Is Beaumont going to go through up on the inside? They are side by side. Beaumont now sits on the outside. Phillips is there on his inside. The two of them are side by side. Phillips leads at the end of this lap 0.07 of a second between Phillips and Beaumont as they head into turn number 1, and it is Phillips that keeps his nose ahead there of Beaumont through holes.
Yep, terribly hard luck there for Ricky Anderson. He just can't catch a break in that number 95 pink and black Formula V Forza. As we watch this battle still for third place now between Benjack Phillips and James Beaumont. Now 7/10 is the gap, less than 7/10 is the gap between the two as they make their way through the Lundstem Kink and down into Dam's Dip. Then they'll make their way down the Tygerberg Straight and through Sorrel Sweep onto the Killarney Straight with 6.5 laps to go.
Right, the leader is working his way down that back Killarney Straight as we watch Phillips and Beaumont, the two of them working their way through the double right-hander turn 4 Sorrel Sweep. Down the back main they go as the leader is working his way through Pertamina Fostron and through turn 5A, as the marshals call it, under the set of Cape Town Bridge. That is your leader, Joshua Smith, coming around to start another lap. He's done 5. He's got 5 to go with Kelly Fletcher there in that second spot. There is Smith going through your screen now, and 5.7 seconds behind him is a 22 car of Fletcher.
But look at this battle. This is still the podium battle for third with 5 laps to go. Benjack Phillips and James Beaumont are fighting it out. There's almost nothing between them, as one's going to try and take up the inside, but James Beaumont cannot dive on the inside of Benjack Phillips as they make their way through Holes Hook now. The name I was looking for was Hayden Ulwood in that Class C car.
Oh, the green car, yes.
The green car, the only one that's not out here. We don't have any Class C, and you know what, we don't have any Class S. It's only a Class V fight at the moment as we watch these two make their way out of Castrol Corner now, still fighting for the last podium position. There's just over a 10th between them and a 10-second gap to Kelly Fletcher in second place.
Through the Lundstem Kink they go and into turn 3, Dam's Dip. Out of Dams they come, work their way up the Tygerberg Straight. There's a slight little hill towards the highest part of the circuit. Turn 4, double right-hander, Sorrel Sweep. There's one line through that double right-hander as Phillips and Beaumont are still nose to tail, heading down the Killarney Straight towards Pertamina Fostron as the leader works his way into turn number 1. But we stay with this leader, and it is Beaumont that's now got his nose ahead there of Phillips.
Yep, that's the 21 of James Beaumont in that I2 Technologies Formula V Forza. He made his way ahead of Benjack Phillips. Benjack in the classic car care Lantis now as they come under the bridge and across the line to start their with 4 laps to go rather. They make their way into Holes Hook once again, and I think this is James Beaumont's chance to try and get away. He definitely has the speed ahead of Benjack Phillips, and the gap should widen unless there's any mistakes made.
Well, we'll just mention that Smith and Fletcher still P1 and 2 with 7.1 between them as we stay with this fight. That's making itself out, or working itself out at Castrol Corner. It's the only real fight on the track. And when they started this lap, there was 0.8 of a second between Beaumont and Phillips. He just took that position away from Phillips as we watch them work through Dam's Dip and up the Tygerberg Straight towards Sorrel Sweep.
We talk about this every time, especially Byron Height and myself. We always talk about how there's no spoilers and stuff on these cars. There's no aero, so it's all down to mechanical grip and driver ability. As we watch these two now go down the Killarney Straight, coming to the braking zone, they dive hard on the brakes in these Formula Vs, and look at how close Benjack Phillips is getting. He tried to squeeze it around the outside, get a better line and a better run out of Pertamina Fostron, so he can get a little bit of slipstream down the Porsche Straight into Holes Hook. But there goes Kelly Fletcher now sitting in second place, 8.1 behind.
Yeah, she's 8.1. Now we can hear that roar of the two Formula Vs of James Beaumont and Benjack Phillips. There was 2.22. Phillips was behind Beaumont. That has now changed as they work their way out of holes, because Phillips has now got his nose ahead of James Beaumont as the two of them race towards Castrol Corner.
Brilliant move up the inside from Phillips into Holes Hook. But now James Beaumont is going to try and have to make some sort of last-minute decision at any one of these corners to get that back. He might do the exact same thing into Holzhoek once again if he can get a better run out of Pertamina Fostron. The leader goes into Pertamina Fostron himself. There we see Joshua Smith, 8.1 seconds still ahead of Kelly Fletcher in the Dolphin Engineering Formula V. They make their way down now into Pertamina Fostra, exiting Pertamina Fostra. And then we see this battle still for third place. This is probably the hottest one we've seen between all of these drivers. It's James Beaumont and Ben-Jack Phillips side by side into the braking zone coming into Pertamina Fostron.
Yeah, they were side by side, but it's a dogfight between the two of them. Beaumont ahead of Phillips and Phillips ahead of Beaumont. Currently, as you see them there, it is Beaumont that leads Phillips for that fight for third position as they work their way across the start-finish line. There is nothing between Beaumont and Phillips. 1.1 seconds separating Beaumont from Phillips for P3 as they work their way through holes.
It looks like Ben-Jack Phillips had a pretty bad exit coming out of Pertamina Fostron because he's dropped a massive amount of time to James Beaumont. As the next place man, Wynand de Ridder, only crosses the line now to start another lap. He's 19 seconds behind that battle, but there we see our leader Joshua Smith come through Sarl Sweep on the penultimate lap. He's got one corner to go and then a full lap around the circuit to clinch the win in race 1. Him now still probably closer to 9 seconds, if not more than 9 seconds, the gap between himself and Kelly Fletcher. Then James Beaumont and Ben-Jack Phillips will still be fighting out for the last place on the podium.
Yeah, I know. It's a runaway victory for Smith from Fletcher, but Beaumont is now beginning to clear away from Phillips. James Beaumont is getting away from Phillips. That is Kelly Fletcher that you see in your screen there now, and I think you might have caught up with him again. That's a back marker. Yes, he's getting away from him. That's a back marker between James Beaumont, back marker. Then we've got Ben-Jack Phillips as they come around to start their final lap.
The gap has definitely widened between these two. Maybe a little bit of fatigue setting in this first race. Who knows? As the leader makes his way out of Castrol now towards towards Landstem, Kink and Dams Dip. Him now 6.9 seconds ahead, so maybe he's let off a little bit as Kelly Fletcher. Yep, that's him there you see on your screen. As Kelly Fletcher's clawed back a little bit of time, just over a second, maybe a second and a half, to Joshua Smith. As there we see Kelly Fletcher around Dams Dip and make her way down the Tygerberg Straight.
Yeah, she was 6.9, nearly 7 seconds behind him at the start of the lap. He is way on his own, heading down the Killarney Straight towards T5. That's Pertamina Fostron. And he has obliterated this field as Joshua Smith. Karting experience coming in here big time for Josh. I'm sure Jason will be super chuffed with this one as he brings it through the left-handed kink under the set of Cape Town Bridge, and victory will go to Joshua Smith.
I can see his arms waving there in the sponsored S&S Racing sponsored car as Kelly Fletcher now comes across the line. 5.6, so she was actually catching, unless Joshua Smith was just letting off on that last lap to recuperate. As now we watch, here comes James Beaumont, and look at the gap, Frankie, between himself and Ben-Jack Phillips.
Yeah, Beaumont comes home in P3. Phillips will cross the line in P4. There was 2.5 seconds between James Beaumont and Ben-Jack Phillips for third and fourth.
Yeah, we see one of the back markers, Cyril Somerville, crosses the line now. And then obviously we lost out the only DNF of the race as we watch Donovan Ramsey come across the line. Sorry, no, Wynand de Ridder rather, not Donovan Ramsey. Donovan Ramsey still needs to complete his lap. But Ricky Anderson was the only DNF of this race. Very unfortunate to have him pull off. But there, the Liqui Moly car comes around down the Killarney Straight and into Pertamina Fostra for his final lap. But he would be sitting in 6th place coming to the line.
Yeah, that's the 95 car of Donovan Ramsey. He is in P6. De Ridder was 19.5 seconds behind Phillips when he took the checkered flag for 5th spot. And here comes P6 to the line. That is the 95 Formula V of Gavin Ramsey, and he was 41.4 seconds behind De Ridder, that finished in that 5th position. So that was the opening race for the Bejo Trustees Formula Libres, and Jordan, this is where it got pretty close between Phillips and Beaumont in the replay, and Beaumont just sneaks ahead of him there going into turn 1 into holes, but and the lead was chopping and changing between them all the time for the lead for that 3rd position. In other words, a fight between the two of them, it was chopping and changing all the time.